Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. All right.
I don't want to be a seeker. I just want to be a bum, but I can't help it.
Dude, let's be bums together. Somewhere warm near the beach.
Yeah.
All right, let's do this. This is for Clem and Otis. So we'll start off with some shout-outs today to our sponsors, Indosol and Tectonic Coffee. You know, these guys, love them. If you use promo code THT at checkout for a little discount action. But more importantly, when you're buying products from Indosol and Tectonic Coffee, you'll be participating in conscious consumerism. So Indosol, they're making footwear out of repurposed motor vehicle tyres, and to date they've taken almost 100,000 motor vehicle tyres out of landfill and put them on your feet. Tectonic Coffee, same deal. They're applying ethical practices to all that they do to make super clean caffeine that's pesticide free. Both companies ship worldwide. So if you go to indosol.com and tectoniccoffee.com and use the promo code THT, you'll be supporting me and you'll be making ethical consumer choices. And that's what these two companies are about. And also, if you want a free pair of Indosols, click on the coffee cup icon on the icon, that doesn't sound right, did it, Mark? Icon on the THT website, and you can buy me a coffee. And by doing that, you automatically go in the draw for a free pair of Indosols. And even better, you get a membership, and I'll send you a link to join the THT Zoom forum on the 9th of November, where I'll be with guests from previous episodes for a Q&A and some topical discussion. Mark, I might even get you on that one, brother. What do you reckon? So, yeah, get onto the THT website and buy a coffee, go in the draw for some free shoes, and maybe I get to meet you in a Zoom forum on the 9th of November. All right, Mark, are you ready, brother?
Yep, let's do it.
I'm having a good time.
You are?
Yeah.
I can tell.
And we are rolling too.
Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks. Today's guest is Mark Baxter. Mark is a psychologist, musician, budding Muay Thai kickboxing enthusiast, and director of the Psychology Spot practice. His clinical expertise and interest areas include post-traumatic stress, trauma recovery, psychosis, addiction, and addressing experiences of existential dilemma, anguish, or distress. Aside from his academic and professional qualifications, at his core, Mark is a seeker who possesses an innate calling to progress approaches to the treatment and management of mental health and wellness. Today, Mark is with me to share his experiences, challenges, and hopes for the future. Mark Baxter, welcome.
Thanks, Shannon.
Brother, dude, so stoked to have you.
Yeah.
How's your day been?
Emotional.
What? Why? Tell me why.
I told you before, like I'm buying and selling a home, which is, it's emotional. I just had one of those mornings that I drove here early. There's some cleaners that come to work and do some stuff, and I've got to get here early to let them in. I just had one of those mornings where I was driving along, and every person I saw in the street, I just kind of felt their suffering, and was wishing them a lot of kind of ease, and there was a lot of people that looked like they were struggling and in trouble. And, some days I don't notice that. I just kind of doing my thing and listen to music or podcasts, and other days I just kind of notice people. And, yeah, I kind of felt very vulnerable and raw. And so, yeah, it was kind of a big day. And I was nervous about this and still am. And, yeah.
Was the selling of the house triggering that?
I don't think so. I feel it's weird with emotion blowback. Like sometimes you feel like everything's fine and, on the surface everything's going great and you're confident, and then, a month later or 2 days later you realize that thing was emotional, and, yeah, it kind of hits you. So the house stuff feels fine to me at the moment, yeah.
Like what you were just saying, is that like a form of like post-traumatic stress?
What do you mean?
Well, you said it takes a few days for you to realize that that situation was emotional.
No, that's
Is
just,
that like
that's
a
just
low
humanity.
level form?
No, we all dissociate. We all disconnect from our feelings. We're busy. We're without space. We're rushing from one thing to the other. We're not, I'm speaking for myself here, but kind of generalizing to everybody. We're not in contact with how we're feeling and our emotions, like at a very body level, our sensations in our body. We're just not that connected most of the time. We're in our heads. We're getting to the next thing. We're thinking about what's coming up next, what we did yesterday, how we're going to make ends meet, all the rest of it. And and sometimes we just get hit by it because it gets too big and it just shows up in the form of grief or anger or joy or gratitude or sadness or something and just hit you and you just realize.
So you think the human condition is primarily a mind-body disconnect?
I think the disconnection is a huge contributor to mental unwellness and unsatisfactoriness and suffering. And I think one of the things that's happening today in our kind of society is that we're not making spaces. All the spaces are filled. And it's in those spaces that people make sense of things, reflect, feel, process. And we just don't have the spaces where everything's like full. Emails, phones, families, jobs. It's relentless.
You know how you said that you were driving to work today and you were just people you would see in the street, you could sense you were feeling some pain of their pain. Has this been a reoccurring thing for you through the course of your life, this maybe sensitivity to the feelings of others?
Yeah.
Since you were young?
Since forever, yeah.
Would you say you're an empath?
I think that word, I'm not really sure what that word means. Like I know the definition and things, but some people ask me how I do my job, and I because a lot of people, when they ask that, how do you do your job? How do you listen to people's, suffering all the time and stress? And because what people mean when they ask that is like, how do you take that on and still be okay? And what I explain to them is there's kind of three types of empathy. There's a guy called Daniel Goleman who's a specialist and researcher in empathy. He talks about three types. And one is cognitive empathy, that ability to step inside someone's shoes, see their perspective, understand their inner world, get a sense of kind of what things might be like for them, their belief system. As a psychologist, you need a lot of that. And as a human being, it really pays as well. Emotional empathy is the ability to feel into the feelings of others. As a psychologist, you need enough of that to resonate, but you don't want too much of that. That's going to absorb into your body and it's going to be, leading to burnout, compassion fatigue. And then compassionate empathy is the third one. That's this boundless, open willingness and call to action where you see suffering, you see someone in distress or in trouble and you want to help. And you need enough wisdom with compassion because just compassion alone is not enough. You need to kind of have skillful action. And that has a lot of positive energy to it. It has a lot of expansiveness and actually kind of feeds the spirit, whereas emotional empathy can be draining if there's too much. But, so most of the time I have the right balance of that. But sometimes, like this morning, I had a lot of emotional empathy and I just kind of felt the suffering of people as I was driving by them. And
the result was? For you?
Disruption, to my inner system. A reminder about how people are trying to get by and they're struggling. And also a call for me to take care of myself. So I really had to meditate today and I did the boxing class and there's things I've got to do to stay well.
Dude,
I have to meditate. I have to exercise.
Dude, I loved watching you kick the bag the other night.
Yeah.
I was like, let this guy go.
this is, as I said to you, this is the most excited I've been about exercise in my whole entire life.
Why?
I've only been doing it for 3 weeks. When you said I'm a
Really?
Muay Thai kickboxer, 3 weeks in.
Dude, but I said budding.
Budding,
Yeah.
that's good.
Like, why are you so excited about it? Like, what drew you to it? Like,
Well, here's the synchronicity. Like, so I've been wanting to box since I was 24.
yeah,
I remember the moment some guy invited me to come to a gym, and I was too shy to turn up, and I didn't go, and I regretted it. Now, 20 years later, I'm like, this now or never. I'm like, I'm 43 or something like that. My body's going to break down soon. Like, this is it.
dude, I can't believe
This is it.
That's exactly what's going on in my head.
Yeah, this is like it's not a micro kind of like midlife crisis, but this is a fact, right? So I've got to do this thing. And so I'm looking for a place that's going to it's got the right vibe. And I've been driving past Fit to Fight for ages and just looking at it and not going in because I'm too scared, basically. And so I started Googling Brett Harriet and found this podcast.
No way. Oh, you told me this, yeah.
Heard your voice and went, I know that voice. And because you don't say who you are on the podcast, like I knew it was you, but I couldn't, so I looked up the website and found it was you and just blew my mind. And Brett's story is amazing. And I love his, I love the philosophy and everything he stood for when he was talking about. And then having gone there, it's just the best gym ever. So
you know what speaks to me about that boxing gym is that I guess boxing gyms are heavily associated with like some level of toxic masculinity.
Yeah, it's the opposite there.
And don't get me wrong, it's tough in there. But it's tough with a high level of sensitivity and kindness and love, and you feel it the second you walk in.
Yeah.
And I think Brett epitomizes that approach, and and that's why I think all his customers feel it as well, and that's where his success lies, in my opinion.
Yeah.
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 You feeling fit though?
I mean, it's 3 weeks
or
in.
sore?
No, I'm surprisingly, I hold my fitness really well. I'm sort of lucky.
Yeah.
I'm just doing, a billion sit-ups and I'm fine. I started punching for the first time today hard, and just after 30 seconds I was, pretty out of it. So I think there's a big difference between training and then really going for it. And, it's exciting. I love it.
Yeah.
I'm so pumped to learn more. There's so much to know.
Yeah, there is. I guess people spend their whole life dedicated to learning the science of it because you're using so many different body parts at the same time and your mind, and it's got layer after layer. There's like not just like punches, there's elbows, there's knees, there's kicks, and then there's like, dodging.
Yeah, the slipping, the defense.
Slipping and defense.
You got to try not to get hit.
Yeah. And then you got to be tough.
Yeah.
And you got to like put your emotions aside.
Yeah.
Otherwise
and hug the guy at the end.
And then hug the guy at the end. And you end up bonding with that person.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I like it for me because it teaches you to, I guess, control your emotions when under duress. And because if you don't, you make yourself vulnerable. And I think there we go, metaphor for life, maybe.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah. I'm excited about it. It's
so good.
It's just good to have a new project, I like to do different things, and sort of I was just doing rock climbing for a bunch of time there and sort of getting right into that just for a couple of years, and you just really got interested in it and enjoyed it. And again, as a fear project, this podcast is a fear project, and
really?
And I think the climbing, I was shit scared of heights, and I haven't completely cured that, but I'm much different now. If I hop up on a roof or something, I'm fine now. Or climb a tree, I'm fine. But I was petrified. And the boxing's been a kind of a fear thing too. But now they go to the gym. I mean, it's just the culture there is amazing. So it's.
But do you find with fear, it's that initial step, right?
No.
No.
Depends. Like with the rock climbing, I mean, I haven't done anything big. I'm just, just a basic rock, rock, done a little bit of outdoor rock climbing.
Yeah.
And, I could be kind of petrified for the whole climb, and it kind of comes in waves. And it's an awful feeling, and I don't like it, but I don't want to be sort of controlled by it. And I think a lot of my life's been, I'm controlled by fear, the things I don't do or don't take on, or I've had lots of social anxiety forever since I was a little boy. And
really,
yeah,
because that's one of my questions to you is like, why psychology? So what led you to this profession and what it entails? Like, was it initially because you've spent some time through your life trying to figure things out and then felt like you wanted to pass on that knowledge?
I really have no idea.
Okay, you think it picked you? Did it choose you?
I've got no idea. It's a mystery.
Really?
I was going to do forestry in Canberra, at Canberra Uni, and none of my friends were going. You know, it's summer, it's Wollongong, it's a beach. You know, I really had I was 17, you know. I went to university and remember my mum said, how was university? I said, it's like school with beer. It's great. Like I had no idea. I did, it's our system. I don't really like our system. You know, I like the American system more, where you sort of do an undergraduate of something, just general philosophy and, social sciences, and then you do graduate school after that. Okay. I think us choosing a profession at 17 or 18 is just ludicrous, really.
Yeah.
So I feel really lucky. I got into that and then I left, did an undergraduate, went overseas, took some time off and worked and whatever. And then I came back and got a job in the field and loved it. Loved the person-to-person element of psychology, and then realized I wanted to be a psychologist. So that was like at 24. Yeah.
Does it give you pleasure? Like, do you feel like you're being of service to people?
And completely.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so, and that creates good feelings in you?
Amazing. It helps me so much.
Okay. Well, here's my question to you. What advice would you give to people who would like to start feeling better about themselves but don't want to be a psychologist? Like, what are some methods or ways you would recommend to someone to be of service to another person on a practical level?
Yeah. There's something about, I'll speak a little bit about my experience and, maybe people can work out how that will fit their context. But, I have all the worries that just a regular person has and a few less because my health is good and I'm doing okay. But when I come to work and I sit with somebody, I'm totally absorbed in them and their story and what they're trying to do and their struggles, their joys, their values, their strengths and their sadnesses. And I'm so absorbed and so open for that part of me kind of disappears. The part that worries about me and my things and what I need to get done and achieve and, cross off and tick, that just disappears. And it's kind of like a flow state in a way. So people explain the same thing happens, surfing or skating or boxing or, musicianship or whatever it is. Like, so it's an absolute flow state. And I get to do 7 hours of that a day. Like, and so I don't, it doesn't, people say, does it drain you? It feels like I've been on a massive bushwalk after, like, when you feel satisfied, but you're tired, but you're satisfied. Like, that's sort of how I feel after a day. So
cool.
Yeah. So I just, if people want to use that as a method of kind of, stepping outside themselves, it doesn't really matter in what way you do it, as long as you kind of give your whole attention to it, like everything.
Yeah.
Everything. You have to give every moment to that, which is beautiful. It feels great.
Well, you could say that you're being present.
Yeah.
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 And those things, like whether it's sitting down and listening to somebody or participating in something you like, they're forcing you to be in the present moment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think something about, because we do, 50 minutes an hour, there's kind of a commitment to the person and to yourself that you're going to be present for all of that. So there's something about the time limit and the person. It surprises me just how people know how to use psychology. Like, they know what to do.
What do you mean? To help themselves?
Yeah, they know how to be, a client.
Right.
They know their role, and it surprises me just how open people, like they don't know who I am. They get a sense, of maybe they feel like I might be interested, and maybe they feel some compassion. Maybe not. Maybe I'm frustrated that day and they feel that. It just depends, But people step into that role. Most people step into that role really quickly of being vulnerable, open, trusting, and it's have a lot of gratitude for that.
Do you think it's because they're crying out for that?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, they want that really.
They really want it.
Yeah.
They want. I mean, in my opinion, I think most of us, definitely myself included, at our core, we're self-centered, and we want people to listen to us.
Yeah,
or we want to be the center of attention.
Kind of. I feel like it. And I'm speaking of, I've been a client as well, and it's a funny word we use, but just kind of the person that's getting the help. And there's something so, I think someone being interested in you is such a sweet medicine, and validation is the sweetest medicine of all. And a psychologist's job, if they're sort of doing it okay, is to kind of deeply validate someone's experience, whatever it is. Like, nothing's off the table. Everything is welcome. Everything's accepted. And you can show the darkest part of your shadow and still feel love. And I think there's something healing in there. There's a lot of techniques and things we do, but there's something just in that.
But it's also, you've created a set and setting, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
A safe space.
Yeah, that's crucial.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel safe in here. Like, everyone's got their own spot, but this is.
But for the person or the client, it's like a space that they can just get it out.
Yeah.
Go deep.
Yeah.
They're safe to do that. There's going to be no judgment.
Yeah.
Only support, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, how often can people actually find a space like that?
It's rare, and it's not a role that a partner can play, and it's not a role that a friend can play all the time. It's a unique role, and I'm glad people are using it more. Like, I think it's got a lot of value, and I really believe in it, and more people are sort of knowing that they can do that, and I over the last 10 years, I've seen a huge change in the stigma reducing, and, guys are coming and they're fine with it, and they're recommending their mates, and, middle-aged mining guys, and, that it really, there's just no stigma anymore. Well, there probably is, but I just see a lot of diversity in who accesses it.
I'm so glad you used the word stigma. It was actually one of my, I try not to write down too many questions. I have a bit of a guide, but one of them was like, how do we debunk stigma in regards to, like, mental health, especially for dudes, because it's the biggest problem. I mean, I have looked at health statistics and epidemiology around issues related to poor mental health, and men seem to be overrepresented in the data. Is it as simple as that, men don't want to talk about their feelings, or is it deeper than that? Is it because of social conditioning and social norms?
The stigma part, like why?
Yeah. Like, how is the stigma created?
Yeah,
like, where did it come from, and how can we debunk it? I guess is a more refined question.
To put it really bluntly, we suck at emotions.
Do we though? Do we? I'm starting to wonder. I don't think so.
Not given the right setting, the right environment, we flourish. But for some reason, have you seen the documentary The Work?
No.
These guys in a prison system, and these outsiders come in, and these guys have got, you can imagine the histories. These are lifers and things like that in America, and really tough guys and a lot of bravado, and they have these group sessions, and it's so powerful that the way that these emotions come up, and just the anger that follows it, and these guys jump on each other, hold each other down with love, so that the anger can exhaust itself, so the person can cry their eyes out,
right,
and feel the healing from that.
I mean, is it more physiological where it's the testosterone that is blocking the emotions?
No, I think it's learnt. It's cultural. I mean, we're speaking generalities here, but it's just not cool to cry when I grew up. Like,
I know,
it's just not. You just and what happens is you start to develop these muscular tensions in the throat, in the jaw, in the body. When you go to cry, you can feel it coming up. This blockage is stopping it. You can laugh at a cafe,
yeah,
and that's cool, but you can't cry at a cafe. People think something's wrong. And I'm not advocating for everyone to start crying at cafes.
Yeah,
it's just an example. Like we're sort of just very conditioned to positive emotions, expressing positive emotions, sharing positive emotions, and pushing down what's seen as negative emotions. So we're very, very discriminatory, and I think that's cultural. I think that's learnt. I'm as guilty as everyone else at that. My big journey has been as a person to try and come into contact with my emotions and to honestly feel them and kind of navigate them. That's hard work. I'm only halfway through. I got a long way to go.
Really? Wow, it is hard work. And to hear you say that, who's someone who's like actively meditating and consciously addressing the need to maintain good mental health.
Yeah.
And you said you're only halfway there.
Yeah.
I find that interesting because are we ever fully there?
No.
So it's a journey and a practice, correct?
Yeah. And new emotions, like I've just started getting angry for the first time in my life.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, like what, at the gym?
No, not at the gym.
Because you suck at kickboxing?
No, I don't mind sucking at stuff like that. It's fine, yeah.
Well, what do you mean you've just started getting angry? I don't believe it. Like what? In your whole life?
I think. Yeah. No, anger hasn't been one of my things, and now it's a thing. Now I've got that thing. So I think when you peel the layers off the onion, you find another layer, right? And I've just found anger in the last few years, and it's.
But don't you find it exhausting to keep like self-reflecting and going deep and self-analysis? It doesn't get exhausting.
Yes,
I know it gets exhausting for me. I'm like, yes, okay, you're emotional now. Yes, you're feeling this. Like for me, it gets. I know it's good for you.
Yeah,
but it gets. Just
I don't
like,
want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
I don't want to do it.
But you do it.
I have to. I'm
just
compelled.
like you don't want to eat broccoli.
No,
sometimes.
Yeah,
but you do it because you know it's good for you.
I have to. Like I can't stop.
Nice.
I don't have a choice.
What's the alternative if you do it?
Well, I don't have a choice. Like I don't.
Well, where would it lead you otherwise?
I just drink more.
Okay.
Probably just as I've used less and less alcohol over the years. That's helpful to have emotions come up. I grew up like everybody else in a system of fueled alcohol binging and stuff, on the weekends, and so I think that contributes to kind of a dissociative kind of numbing as well. And
it's fun. I found it funny straight away when you used alcohol as your first example.
Yeah, it's big in Australia. It's big. It's big for me. It's big in my family. It's I'm speaking for me on behalf of a lot of people. It's just a big problem.
Do you see this a lot in your practice with people that you're talking to? Is alcohol a common denominator in being a catalyst for issues?
Yeah, I mean it's one of them. There's a lot of ways people numb. So as far as numbing goes as a way to cope, it's kind of one of the big ones, and it has a lot of secondary problems, but there's a lot of ways to numb, Facebook scrolling is a way to numb, and,
totally.
Binging on Netflix is a way to numb. There's some good ways, less harmful ways to numb. But it just hurts relationships. Basically, I mean, it hurts health. Everybody knows that, but it hurts relationships.
Yeah, and I agree. And I think it's definitely numbing. We know that, but I think it's also the associated behaviours that come along with it.
Yeah,
like that loss of inhibition.
Yeah,
is a problem. So yeah, you can numb out on Facebook scrolling, but the worst thing is that maybe you're just not present for your partner, and you got a sore thumb.
Yeah.
But I guess with alcohol, when you're numbing, the byproducts are making really poor decisions, propensity to violence.
Yeah. Accidents.
Accidents, drink driving, hangovers, unwanted pregnancies, vomiting. So like that's why I feel like it's so destructive. And yeah, I don't know too many people that can use it responsibly. There's people that think they're using it responsibly, in my opinion, but they're not. So that's my observation after growing up in the same era as you.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I'm quite against it.
Yeah. It's a hectic drinking culture we grew up in,
But anyway, listen, man, there's a few little, like, I guess more like clinical questions I want to ask you. Like one is, I was thinking about this the other day. Since the pandemic started, you often hear in the mainstream media outlets and from just people talking like, oh, there's a huge spike in mental health since the pandemic and since lockdown and isolation and restrictions, etc. How accurate is that?
I've got two answers. The first one is I don't actually know. I don't follow the stats in that way. I'm focused on helping people who come to my practice and are sitting in front of me, and so my work's very individualized. So I'm not I'm not looking at health statistics. But one thing that did shock me, I was looking at the paper once at a cafe. This is towards the start of COVID, and the domestic violence rates had gone right up. But the stat that was shocking to me was that half of those events were first-time domestic violence events.
Right.
Now, and that means that, not only, am I concerned about what that means for victims and mostly women and children, but what's happening with the guys that's the first time they've ever done that, what's going on for them as well, and what's happening in those families. So that was awful to read that. That there must be a pressure happening for some people that's just making it, tipping them over in some way.
And maybe just the sheer, like, it was just so unfamiliar, this scenario to everyone.
Yeah.
And people just didn't know how to react, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. And, there's such a roll of the dice in COVID. Some people were incredibly lucky. Some people got a great run from it. Some people made a lot of money and good opportunities came their way. And other people lost everything and lost work and lost relationships. And, COVID is like a non-specific amplifier where whatever's happening in your life, be it good or bad, it will amplify that. If there's a crack in your relationship, it will widen it. If you've got values that you stuff you care about and how you are, it'll amplify those. So it's been good and bad, I think, for a lot of people that I've talked to anyway.
Right. So are you speaking to more people who are expressing to you that they've been affected by it in a negative way? Is it coming up in your sessions more?
Initially, it was the negative effects, and now it's people have taken stock of their lives. Some people are struggling, financially, and that's a big deal. But outside that, some people have just taken stock of, what they want and where they're spending their time. And especially, a bunch of dads that I've talked to who've been able to work from home and have been enjoying their kids like they've never got to before. Like they're, at lunchtime they're going to the beach together and they're playing and like they knock off work and can play straight away. And so that's cool.
Yeah, that stuff is cool. And it's interesting that you bring that one up because we talk about, the problem of mental health in our society, but I kind of feel like the structure of society is the problem for mental health.
Yeah, I agree.
So like when the man or the woman or the wife and you've got two parents working 40 hours a week and not home and really only spending a few hours with their children of an afternoon, that's a problem in my opinion. But a lot of people don't have a choice.
Yeah, the structure of family life and the structure of our community, we're not supposed to live with, two adults, two kids, one house. That's unnatural.
Okay, how are we supposed to live?
Like we always did, families and generations and grandparents and neighbors and cousins and like all together. Everyone's moved away from the place they grew up. You're not supposed to do that. You're supposed to live in the same street forever, in the same village forever. And that's probably got a lot of problems too.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to idealize that kind of lifestyle, but people move away from their support networks again and again and again. They fracture and fracture and fracture and fracture. And then all of a sudden they're isolated. Something goes wrong. They get sick. Their relationship breaks up. They have a hard time. And then they're alone and they're not not held in a web that's just unconditional support. It's not that people are saying, oh, we should support them or not. Like they're just people used to be part of a community where now it just seems very fractured and very individualized.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure. I'm not sure what the answers are, but it certainly feels that things, there doesn't have to, not much has to go wrong for things to break down. There's not much room between you're doing really well and now you're bottoming out.
I think it's that delicate.
For some people it is, yeah, because especially I've got problems with the way the workforce is set up these days too, with the kind of, lack of, sort of full-time work and what's it called, the gig economy, and people sort of going from one contract to a next. And, if you get a bad run or you get sick or something like that and that breaks down, all of a sudden you're out. And then it's hard to bounce back from that. So I just think a lot's happened in our community over the last, I don't know, maybe hundreds of years that has kind of created a system that doesn't bode well for resilience for communities.
Yeah. Yeah, it keeps coming back to exactly that for me, no matter how much I think about it. It's like we're busier than ever, working for, to maintain our things. In the meantime, we're paying people to look after our kids in daycare centres and schools.
Yeah.
I don't know. It really doesn't compute. Do I have a solution to it? Like, not really, because I'm in it as well.
I'm in it too, yeah.
So, but I guess it's good to talk about and highlight it. But it's a recurring theme amongst a lot of people I speak to.
Yeah.
And, I always think about that movie Fight Club with Brad Pitt back in the day. Like, I loved that movie.
Yeah.
There's a quote in it and the character says, like, the things you own you. And I was like, that's good call.
Yeah.
But it's still happening constantly.
Yeah.
And then the result, the way I see it is, I see mental illness everywhere. And I've noticed it, especially since moving back to Australia in the town we live in. I'm seeing it in the streets more than I've ever had. It's become much more noticeable to me.
Yeah.
With the people I see around the city, seems like there's more people struggling in that respect. And yeah, I don't know. I think, we talk about COVID a lot and the new normal and stuff, and people say, oh, it's a reset. I really hope it is. So
yeah, a reset of values and priorities. What's important, attitudes. And I'm surprised that we don't have more pandemics. Considering
you think?
Considering how many people there are on the earth and, how many things that can go wrong, it's surprising that this is not just like COVID-like situations aren't just happening all the time to me.
Yeah, I guess right.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone said to me the other day, like, oh, this was the pandemic historically that we were due to have. Like it was coming, like, because there's a cycle of them every, 50 or 100 years.
Yeah, well, the biggest threats to humanity is pandemics, nuclear threat, nuclear arms, and also we're running out of antibiotics, which people don't talk about that. So climate change is kind of fourth on the list.
Can you actually run out of antibiotics?
We're about to.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that they made synthetic antibiotics now.
Yeah, apparently we're running out of options, and the bacteria kind of can change itself that quickly that we have to catch up and create a new strain of antibiotics, and then that sort of doesn't work anymore, and then so the bacteria is kind of slowly getting on top of us.
Well, what's that saying then? We've tried to control nature too much. Nature's like screw you. I'll just keep eating you with new bacteria.
Well, evolution's always going to win. So, yeah, it's a race.
Oh, man.
I don't know enough about it to really talk much about it, but these kind of existential threats we don't really talk about. Climate change is one, and there's these other existential threats too. And, we don't talk about much about, nuclear threat and all that. But
you said, like, in your bio, I said that your interest areas are, treating people with going through an existential crisis or existential dilemma.
Yeah.
Can you maybe explain that for people who don't, fully understand? When I say people, I mean me.
Yeah.
Is that when you're it's a doomsday mentality, the world's going to end?
Yeah, not necessarily, no. It normally comes in something a lot more common, and that is, what is my purpose?
Okay.
What's the meaning of life? Why am I here? What's the point?
All right.
People have thoughts like that, all through the day and through the week sometimes, and sometimes we just, have a conversation or watch a movie. It inspires us to, have that kind of reflection on purpose and meaning, and that could be really positive. But many people go through stages where a deep sense of despair or listlessness or uselessness kind of sets in, and they get stuck, and they really lose contact with some of the richness and vitality in their life, in their experiences, in their senses, and they become more and more kind of blocked to that, and they find it hard to get out. And it's a terrible pain. It hurts to have no purpose. Humans crave meaning. It's kind of part of our DNA. We really want it.
And feelings of like they don't have a purpose in this world. Can I ask, is the age range of people that are coming to you with this in their late 30s, early 40s?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is a wild guess, man.
Yeah.
Well, why? Why do you think it's that age range that people start to have these feelings?
The first kind of chunk of life after childhood.
I should be a psychologist. Anyway, keep going.
You should definitely be a psychologist.
Oh, thanks, bro.
Yeah. I should be a skater.
You should.
Yeah.
Dude, you should.
I suck at skating.
I can tell you'd be good.
I skated for years and I never got any better at it. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still can't ollie up a gutter or anything.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I know.
Can you roll?
I can roll, yeah.
Yeah? How good's that?
It's great.
It's the best, dude. That's all it comes down to.
I used to love it.
Dude, and if you love it, that's it. I could talk
about it.
Just
ride around with my flannel on. It was great.
Did you?
Yeah.
Dude.
Grunge era.
Well, you're a grunge guy because you're a musician as well. Sorry, we just went off on a massive tangent.
Yeah, I wouldn't count. I'd call myself someone who plays guitar sometimes rather than a musician.
Right. But you love that too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. But I grew up in the kind of, Kurt Cobain era and all that
we're the
kind
same
of
age.
stuff. So, yeah.
I know it.
Yeah.
I mean, dude, I've got a story for you.
Yeah.
I was at the big day out.
Yeah.
I was too young to be there. I won't say how old I was. I was 15. And there was a band on stage and I was up the back and I was like, who's this band, man? They're so loud. I can't barely hear them. They sound shit. My mate goes, it's that Nirvana.
Oh, no.
I was there when Nirvana.
No way.
I seen Nirvana. Did I actually engage with it? No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too
They
busy.
probably were shit. They were probably hammered.
But I was like, I actually was in the same room as Nirvana. I don't know, man. I'm showing my age, but dude, that was at a big day out in 1994.
Who's the most memorable? Oh, no, it would have been two.
92, yeah. So
they
I
come
was
to Australia
young,
92,
dude. I was I was 14.
Who's the most memorable band you've seen at Big Day Outs?
Oh, dude. Okay, there's a few dilemmas to that one because I was often, if I'm honest, reflecting on it, I was often pretty much drunk a lot, and that's a big blur.
Yeah.
But some standout moments would have to be The Prodigy. Do you remember?
I saw The Prodigy.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my God. And they just made this was at the old Sydney Cricket Ground.
Yeah.
This is a massive tangent. But this is the first time I've talked about Big Day Out.
Yeah.
Got so many good memories about Big Day Out. Yeah, definitely the Prodigy would have to, from memory, I remember there was a half pipe at the back of the stadium.
Yes.
And there was a brick wall that the half pipe was up against. And then the band were right at the front,
Yes.
the crowd's there.
Yep.
But I was always there to watch the skateboarding because I couldn't believe that skateboarding was on display.
Tony Hawk was there maybe?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was Tony Hawk. Yeah, there was a bunch of pro skaters.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, they came on and they you could feel the energy throughout the whole stadium. It was dark, but it was also just inspiring, and I've never felt so psyched up. And then the sound was bouncing off this wall as I'm watching the skaters, and I'm there in front of the skate ramp, and I could literally feel the sound vibrations hitting me in the back of the head.
Yeah.
It's like, this is pretty epic.
There's something massive about those concerts when there's, thousands of people and everyone's on the same exact, kind of energetic wavelength.
Mm.
And everyone's so into it because whatever their song is or the album's just hitting the charts hard at that time. There's nothing like that. It's for energy. It's amazing. The Rage Against the Machine is one that stands out for me.
Yeah, I've seen them too.
I saw the whole place mosh at the same time. I mean, it's just the energy is just,
I've seen them. And actually, when they were in Australia for that, because that was at the Sydney Olympic Park, that big day out, I remember. And then they played a side concert at the entertainment centre, and Zach De La Rocca, the lead singer, actually fell off the stage as he ran out.
Oh, no.
And then just bounced back up and he was all right. Those guys.
Yeah.
And was it Tom Morello, the guitarist?
Tom Morello?
Oh,
unbelievable.
Man.
Yeah.
He pulls the plug out and starts toggling or whatever it is and runs it up and down the...
I'm still a massive Rage fan.
Are you?
Yeah, massive.
Dude. I'm sorry, I'm going to go on one more tangent with them. I remember when that album first came out, the big breakthrough album. My friend at school was like, dude, I've got this new album and we're going to go to my house. We're going to play it in my bedroom, but we can't let my mum hear. Like, you're not going to believe this song. We've got this song. And he keeps saying, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me.
Yeah.
And I'm like, so? And I remember he put it on. He's like, when he sat in his room and we're just like, no way. We couldn't believe like the lyrics and how it made us feel.
Yeah, just freedom.
Yeah, God, that was a good movie.
That was the first CD I got.
Yeah.
From America, actually. 1991. That's a self-titled Rage Against the Machine album. It changed my life when I heard that. Unbelievable.
Isn't it crazy how music can do that? Because it's sound vibrations.
Yeah. It's mathematics.
It's energy.
It's geometry. It's
It's energy, isn't it? It's frequency.
Yeah, well, when you shoot sound at kind of, say, like a sandpit or something like that, it makes patterns. So it's energy, it's geometry, it's mathematics, it's vibration. It's all the things at once.
You're a psychologist, and I guess there's a stigma associated with psychologists that you're quite textbook.
What do you mean?
Well,
I haven't heard that.
I mean, I do. I associate the word with the word psychologist with, textbook approaches to mental health.
Oh, yeah.
That's me personally. I can't speak for everyone. I'd be like, yeah, right.
It's a new criticism to me.
Oh God, I felt your vibration then. I guess I was getting like your body language, everything. Yeah. Anyway, this is good shit. I'm nervous now. Do you believe we radiate energies to other people?
Oh, that's a fact. There's no doubting that. I mean, so energy's the term. It's got it's a new agey term, so it's got a bad vibe to it. But I mean,
how much truth to it is there?
I mean, you just have to study physics to know that everything is energy.
Quantum physics?
Any kind of understanding of the world, everything has energy in it. I mean, everything's either moving, energy in the form of kind of heat or light, or it's captured energy in the form of kind of this chair that I'm sitting on. That's just the fact that it happens. And we have these energetic waves that come from us. The heart is an electrical machine in a way. It pulses. We have our breath that connects. When a person, and I use this in my practice too, if I change the energetic quality of my breath, the person's breath will change with me, and I can help people kind of come into a place of a little bit more calmness. It's called contagious calm, and kind of you can help people, relax by that.
Dude, I feel it when I speak to you.
Oh, good.
Even the other day at the gym, and then as soon as I got in, just felt like really relaxed.
Yeah, good.
Do you think we need to respect it more, our sensitivity to it?
To energy?
To other people's energy. Okay, so here's a question. Do you find some people are more sensitive to picking up? Okay.
Yeah.
Are those people that are sensitive to feeling other people's frequency or other people's energy, maybe as you were this morning, saying,
I went that experience I had. Yeah.
Are they the people that are more prone to depression and anxiety?
For sure. They're also the sort of people who will produce more art.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
So people who, are connected with the ever-changing flow of whatever life is, coming across them, whether it be nature or, the city or people, whatever it is, if you're open to that, if you're feeling that, you're just going to be, there's going to be more entropy, more dynamic engagement and flow with whatever's coming around you. So when I say entropy, there's going to be kind of more chaos in the system. And ideas and creativity come from chaos. If things are the same, if we follow the same patterns, we can make tweaks and changes and improve things a little bit, but we can't get fresh new ideas. We can't get fresh art. We can't get, new ways of thinking about, culture. And those people are definitely, much more prone to being overwhelmed by that, I think.
It's interesting. I love it. And I say this a lot on the podcast because one of my personal favourite episodes, we had a breathwork specialist on called Edward Dangerfield.
Oh, yeah.
And you hear people, sort of promoting themselves as breath workers in Bali, especially a lot.
Do you mean holotropic breathwork? Do you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's powerful stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've done that stuff.
Have you?
That's really powerful.
Right.
Yeah.
And he's amazing. He believes that he can release DMT in the brain within 6 minutes.
Yeah.
Through those breathing techniques.
When you breathe like that, it's a very simple process, very simple method. You go into a psychedelic state, naturally induced psychedelic state from the breath, and you can journey into some really interesting places and have some really big insights and release a lot of energy in helpful ways, process, trauma. Very, very powerful. Just from a very simple breathing technique.
When you say journey, can you explain that in a bit more detail? Like the person's going deep into their own personal psyche?
That can be part of it,
And to find understanding to things that are unresolved?
Yeah, or they can go into a dream state. Think about a really vivid dream that you've had and how it goes on a journey. There's kind of a story. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and, you're not in control of the story. You don't know what's going to happen, and there's different characters and dream archetypes. There's different, there might be animals and things. So when you do holotropic breath work, some people go into kind of a dream journey state. Right. Some people go into what they feel like is kind of, transpersonal experiences that aren't theirs. They feel like memories of other people or experiences they've never had, but they feel deeply connected to them. And so really strange things can happen in those states.
Do you think it really benefits people who have maybe unresolved trauma?
Holotropic breath work in particular?
Well, anything where they're journeying into the psyche. And I mean, you used the word psychedelic. So you said like some holotropic breath work can, create a psychedelic experience.
Yeah.
So are you saying that psychedelic experiences can be beneficial?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is a big area of passion for me, being someone who is very interested in the mental health of people in the community. One of the most exciting things in the mental health field to come out for, forever since I've been around is the renewed use of psychedelics to treat things like depression, especially treatment-resistant depression.
Yep. That's better.
Just getting some instruction to put the mic up close to my mouth.
It's all right.
Trauma, addiction, different mental health problems. So there's some amazing research coming out, especially America and Europe, and now in Australia as well. And so, back in the 50s and 60s, psychedelics were used a lot. There was about 1,000 research studies, about 40,000 research participants showing amazing results in lots of different areas. The American government cracked down on it and sort of got pushed down, and that science was kind of hidden or forgotten. And, in the late 90s, it kind of got picked back up again. And now, 2020, we're a couple of years away from having psychedelics as a really important piece of the mental health healing paradigm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's big news, and the results that they're getting are more powerful than some and many of the other methods we have, and can treat things that are very, very stuck. So, treatment-resistant depression that's been, someone's had that for 15 to 20 years. Post-traumatic stress disorder people have had for 15 to 20 years that haven't been helped by all the different methods and modalities and medications that we already have. So it's really big news, and it's very inspiring, something that I'm deeply interested in.
So, like, it is an exciting time for psychiatric research then.
Yeah, a very exciting time. We're on the cusp of a huge paradigm shift.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Is this because now, after many, many years of pharmaceutical, I guess, prescriptions, it's time for revision? And I'm not saying that those things don't have their purpose and use, because they very much do.
For sure.
And you're not saying that either, I'm guessing.
No, medication plays a really important role.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But progress and is necessary, correct?
Well, the medications are limited in their abilities, their scope.
But when you say limited, so do you think, would it be safe to say that medications are maybe managing but not resolving?
That's true. So if we think of antidepressants, one of the jobs of antidepressants is to kind of buffer someone from kind of stress so that people don't dive down into a deeper depression. It's protective in a way. It helps people feel a little bit more resilient. And so when it works well, it doesn't work well for everybody, but if an antidepressant works well for someone, people feel like they're not as vulnerable to distress and anguish in a way that's going to knock them for a six, when it comes to, depression, anxiety. So they feel a little bit more robust in a way. What they don't do, though, is help people be happy.
Okay.
And what
happy or fulfilled?
Yeah, well.
Both?
Yeah, we could talk about the different way, definitions of happiness and satisfaction and fulfillment and, vitality and just on a broad sense of the term. But they don't help people find vitality in their life. They don't help people find satisfaction in their life. They don't help people connect with meaning. That's up to the person. And that's normally a psychological and a relational and a spiritual journey. But medication can help people stabilize. That's really important.
So you really believe that there needs to be elements of spirituality in mental health recovery and management?
It's critical, and it's what we've lost from a mental health paradigm perspective over the last, I think, 30 years, and it's starting to come back. This connection, I call myself a spiritual atheist, which confuses some people, but this.
I've never heard that term.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I've never heard that, because you know what? Yeah. Now that you've said that, I've just had a revelation. I think I'm a spiritual atheist as well.
A lot of people are, yeah.
Because I always struggled with it. I knew I needed it. Sorry to cut you off.
No,
you've just sparked something in me massively. Because I say this a lot. I always struggled with this feeling of I needed a sense of spirituality, but I just could not relate to any religious denominations. And I felt for many years that to be spiritual, you had to be religious or follow a religious denomination, which is okay, but it's not for everyone.
Yeah.
So when you say spiritual atheist, it means that you believe in spirituality, but you're an atheist in regards to religion?
Yeah, so people have a huge yearning, including me, for a connection with nature, with the cosmos, the universe. I mean, if you watch a documentary on kind of the universe, the cosmos, it's just, or David Attenborough, it's just mind-blowing. And that's just watching TV. If you get into it yourself, it's even better. Shows how conditioned we are, right?
Right.
But we have this yearning for connection, and also a sense of we want magic as well. And when I was young, I used to believe in magic, and then I lost that for many, many years, and now I believe in magic again. And by magic, I mean mystery. That more and more I'm learning that I don't know anything at all, and I love that. I love to be proved wrong. It might prove myself wrong by having experiences and just go, you know what? The belief system I had a year ago, I can't hold that belief system anymore because it doesn't. I can't. I'm more confused and doubtful and open to mystery now than I ever have been, and I love that.
So you've maybe found faith in the unknown? You have, dude.
I never heard it put that way, right? Faith in the unknown. Well, yeah.
I mean, religions have been saying it forever.
I'm processing that, yeah. Yeah, I mean, the fact is that we just don't know stuff. We don't know Right. All we know as a human being is that we're conscious, that we're aware. That's all we can really prove, that, you feel like you're aware and I feel like I'm aware. We feel like we're conscious. We don't know what consciousness is. So neuroscientists haven't figured anything else about consciousness. We have no idea where it comes from, what it is, how to explain it. We have zero science about consciousness.
Right.
So that's mind-blowing.
It is.
That the very fundamental aspect of our nature, the only thing we're 100% sure of, that it is something to be like us, we don't know anything about that.
And you accept that.
I love that.
You surrender to that.
I love it.
Do you think that's the problem? Maybe enough people aren't surrendering to that?
People want to. They want.
I mean, many people align with religions and surrender to a higher power of their understanding.
Yeah. And I used to have a real problem with religion. And now I'm much, much more open to the benefits that religion can bring. Being non-religious and being an atheist, I'm just open to the positive aspects of it. I have problems with the shadow aspects of it, but people yearn for something bigger than just their day-to-day mundaneness.
Yeah,
and I think a connection with something bigger than that is kind of here all the time. That's why I got into meditation as well, to try and connect with something amazing about the present moment that is right in front of my eyes, but I just can't see it because my default mode network, my brain is going too fast, telling me too many things about myself and my own predicament. It's clouding my view.
Yeah. I remember once a guy said to me, I said, oh, look, I don't believe in God. And he said, but do you believe in yourself? And I said, yeah. And he goes, he said something like, he's an old guy. He's like, well, I'm sorry. He goes, you're an idiot. I was like, oh, okay, that's a bit harsh. But then he said, having faith is believing in something other than yourself because you can't be trusted.
Yeah.
I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, well, your ego and your insecurities are going to drive you insane.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, interesting. It's like, so you could make that chair your higher power, and the benefit is that at least it's not you, and that you believe that there's something else, anything else could be of service to you and guide you through this world. So you have to just surrender to something else other than yourself, because your human condition will eventually drive you to insanity.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good call, man. You got me.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, it's interesting that came up. Faith in the unknown. I think you've got it, man. That's what it is.
Yeah, sure.
Because I've always liked the fairy tale. Like, I like the idea that, okay, for some people it's heaven, it's hell, but I like this idea that when you die, you go somewhere else. Or I like the idea that there's some mystical being guiding you and directing you and watching over you, and you don't know what it is. Like, I just like the mystery of it, and whether it's true or not, what a fun way to live. Like, what a great fairy tale,
Yeah.
Like, otherwise, what else? Like, why not believe in something?
Yeah. No, it's important to have magic.
That's just my spiritual atheist talking.
Yeah.
Dude, that's the best call.
Yeah.
That's another first for the podcast. I've never heard that.
Right?
You're a spiritual atheist. Yeah. Look, I want to go back a little bit about the psychedelic thing, just because I want to ask you, in your opinion, someone that has done some research into it from a professional perspective, why is there so much stigma associated with the use of psychedelics such as, psilocybin, ayahuasca, LSD?
Negative stigma.
There's negative stigma.
Yeah, I find there's less and less, but, we've been a little bit brainwashed about what they are and what they aren't. For so many years, many of these compounds were used within the context of, ancient civilizations, up until, in the modern era as well. And, for hundreds and thousands of years, they were used as rites of passage, as ways to connect with, the God mind or divinity, as ways to understand and find purpose and meaning. If you delve into the history of the use of psychedelics in humanity, it's so rich and just amazing what they offered every culture around the world. So these aren't foreign to any culture. What was the question again? I got
why is there negative stigma around the use of psychedelics, like they're dangerous? Because I have done some reading myself, and some of the stuff that I've learned about them, and I don't know how true these things are, but that they're non-addictive, that they're potentially not damaging brain or damaging your brain matter.
Yeah.
So why is it? Because that like they've been made illegal in many countries.
The history of why they were made illegal was really interesting. And so they were made illegal by the Nixon government, so the 1970s Controlled Substances Act, they were made illegal then. And the strategy was, and apparently, there's, documentaries of it showing Nixon aides talking about this, but you can read Michael Pollan's book if anyone's interested in psychedelics and the history and the science. Michael Pollan's book, How to Change Your Mind, is, a really great place to start. But in that, he describes some of the history around this being made illegal and some of these substances, and mostly it was to control uprising against the Vietnam War. And so the Nixon government wanted an excuse to make arrests and an excuse to crack down on anti-war protesters. And so one way they thought they would do that is to make some of the substances that were being used by what they called hippies back then illegal, as a way to control that. And Nixon said something that is probably true, which is that psychedelics are turning people against the war. And, that was very dangerous in those times. And so America had a hugely, powerful position and, influenced, the UN and a lot of governments around the world, including Australia, to follow suit. And a lot of these substances were made kind of illegal. And that was despite the research evidence and some of the huge promising, mental health treatment and protocols that were being developed at the time. So, as I said, there was like over 1,000 papers, 40,000 research subjects, really promising results. And that was all, the research, and that was all kind of, they pulled the pin on all of that at the time. So politics kind of won out. And then there was a period of kind of, I guess, trying to create some, myths and misunderstandings about their use. Now, having said all of that, psychedelics aren't something that people should be using, probably at parties, young people using them, with each other. These are serious, healing, sacred medicines that need to be respected, need to be used within a cultural context, need to be used in a certain set and setting, that they need experienced guides to kind of help people get the benefit from them. While many of them aren't physically toxic in a way that we've been led to believe, there are huge risks to people's psychological health, their well-being and their mental health, especially if people have a risk of things like psychosis and bipolar and some other conditions. So they're not to be taken lightly. They're not party drugs. They're sacraments and healing medicines, and they're very powerful when used in those right contexts.
Interesting. Excuse me. So set and setting is crucial.
Yeah. So set and settings, something was, talked about back in the 50s and 60s when they sort of developed the protocols around using these medicines. So set really refers to kind of the intention that someone takes into the journey, takes into the experience. Also the preparation that they've done, their attitude, what they're wanting out of the experience, their kind of, their current mental health, their, the relationships that they're going through at the moment. So that we take all of that stuff into the experience. And the setting is the kind of the environment, the guide or the sitter, the dose, the type of psychedelic that's being used, the safety of the container, and also the important integration support and therapy that happens after. These things aren't taken like a drug where you just, have a substance and have an experience. And, the power is in actually harnessing the insights from some of these experiences and turning those into embodied action, helping people make sense of what happened, but also changing their life from them.
Right. So intention's crucial, but also, post-experience care is also crucial.
Absolutely crucial. Yeah. To make sure that people get the benefit from the experience, and we want to see people changing their lives for the better from these things. These aren't just, it's not just a fireworks show.
Not to be partied with, really. Let's just...
No, they're not party drugs. These are serious, compounds that have very spiritual properties. And as it turns out from the research from, many different institutions, Imperial College London, Johns Hopkins University, two of the biggest ones, especially for psilocybin, which is the active component in mushrooms, they have very, very powerful effects for people who have been struggling for depression for many years. They're using them for end-of-life anxiety, depression, cancer patients, using them to help people cease smoking, treatment for alcohol, really powerful kind of results so far. So a lot of promise, and the research is in the early days.
When you say the research is in early days, like in Australia, because
around the world,
to my knowledge, it's a little bit more advanced in California. So I am of the understanding that they've decriminalised it in California as of this year. Psilocybin
Denver,
specifically,
Oakland, psilocybin, so that's moving ahead. The federal,
and that apparently that was based on clinical research studies that which led to that law change.
That's right. So the FDA over there has classified psilocybin in particular as a breakthrough drug status. So what that means is they kind of roll out the red carpet as far as support to get this thing up and running, because they can see the incredible benefits of it. So as far as early days, there's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3 trials when they're sort of bringing a new drug to market, any drug at all. In phase 1 trials is to establish safety. So they're done. Phase 2 trials are to establish efficacy. So, does this thing work or not? So they've been completed as well and showing amazing results for psilocybin for depression and some other things, as I mentioned. Phase 3 is sort of the really large randomized controlled trials with a lot of research subjects to really sort of say, here's the power of these things. And so for something to get to phase 3 is really big news. And phase 3 trials are very, very expensive and take a long time. And many of these compounds and the clinical kind of setting around them have got to that stage now. So they're also using MDMA for treatment-resistant post-traumatic stress disorder. That's also almost finished phase 3 trials, which means it's almost a treatment that's coming to market in America and in Europe as well. So we're a long, long way, along the path of kind of seeing these things being clinically supported medicines in the context of a therapeutic environment. They'll be tightly controlled. The environments that they'll be offered to people in will be kind of, medical environments, but, medical environments in a kind of a friendly kind of, a beautiful setting kind of way. The protocols will be, fairly, strict. And people who have had serious mental health problems for many, many years are going to have hope of, finding relief. So it's really big news.
So yeah, like just listening to you and actually having read the Michael Pollan book myself, and I don't want to go on about too much more because you've really given us a great snapshot of what it is and it's where it fits into being a possible treatment.
Yeah.
From my understanding, it's almost like a rewiring of neurological pathways, especially addressing like set behavior patterns. Would that be a good way to describe it?
There's
like a rewiring. I don't know.
There's a huge there's a different lenses you can put across. Why does it work? One is a neuroscience lens. So if we were to go for a neuroscience lens, let's say on psilocybin, and Michael Pollan's book's excellent because it's got that picture of the pathways in the brain firing during a psilocybin experience.
Right.
So what seems to happen, and there's a guy called Robin Carhart-Harris who's a neuroscience at Imperial College London who writes eloquently about these things and has done a lot of research. But there is a kind of a reset of the brain. What happens over the years as a person gets older and older is the brain becomes more and more efficient. And so what that means is it uses less pathways, less connections. So there's kind of these superhighways between different parts of the brain. That means we get more rigid in our thinking, and it means we get more rigid in our behavior.
Right.
We start to do and say the same things over and over again. Now, for depression, this can get really bad. So depression is kind of like a rigidity of behavior and a rigidity of thought.
Right.
So what happens on these experiences and these supported journeys is the superhighways are kind of not used, and all the backstreets become used. And when you look at the functional MRI resonance, kind of photos and things, it's amazing. So the brain lights up in a way that it hasn't since childhood. So the baby brain looks very close to the psychedelic brain.
Right.
And so all of these pathways that haven't been used in many years start to be kind of reinstituted.
No way. So it's neuroplasticity?
Absolutely, yeah. So it causes
that's
neuronal growth.
That's why an intention's so crucial, because if they're all being open, all the pathways are being opened up again, you can actually redirect.
Yeah, so here's where the therapy becomes important, because a person's pathways have been opened in a way that allows more entropy in the system, so more creative chaos. Their rigid patterns of behaving and of thinking have been almost, reset a little, which means that when someone comes out of the experience, for the next few weeks and months, they're in this state of more openness, more creativity, more opportunity to change patterns, to change behaviors, to change thoughts, to change belief systems.
Wow. So the actual healing comes in the weeks after.
Combination of during the experience and in the weeks and months after. That's why integration. So, because what happens is the brain starts to go back to its old ways of behaving, unless we use that kind of opportunity to create some neuroplasticity there to bed those changes down. It will go back to its rigidity.
No way. So, from a therapeutic perspective, protocol is crucial.
Yeah.
Like a protocol of some type.
Oh, absolutely. So
in combination with therapy.
Yeah.
Amazing, dude.
So these are psychedelic assisted therapy.
Assisted therapy, yeah.
So it's not just taking medicine and things are different. It's these compounds and the journeys that come with them and the deep insight and spiritual connection that comes with them. In those experiences, that you got to help someone understand what that means. You got to help someone kind of tell a narrative and find the kind of the jewels or the gems in their experience, and to help them put that into practice in their life in a really practical kind of nitty-gritty way. It's no good having a peak experience. It's no good coming into contact with the cosmos in a way that, injects 1 billion years of gratitude and love into, half an hour. That certainly happens. But what does that mean for your life? And how is that going to change your relationships? What's it going to mean for your patterns of addiction? What does that mean for, your values as a parent? So that's where the therapy comes into play.
So potentially that amazing experience could just go to waste if it's not done properly.
And yeah, exactly. And many, many people have had, helpful and wonderful psychedelic experiences in their own life recreationally. A lot of people have fond memories of those things, but unless we harness them, they're just that. Like what we said before, I saw Rage Against the Machine. It was amazing, and I can recall it now. But so we have to harness these peak experiences to really embody them and help people make sense of them in a way that's going to create some positive change.
See, that was an interesting moment, how you tapped into something deep within my mind. And you dug up that memory for me.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Rage Against the Machine, next thing I'm like, and Zach De La Rocca fell off the stage. Like, that's been just in my mind. Like, and you just dug it up, and all of a sudden, like, you can't see what I was seeing in my mind, but I seen it vividly.
The images come.
I just remember him walking out, like, about to say, fuck you, I won't do what you tell me, and then stepped and fell off the stage. And I just remember it clear, and I remember the reaction of the crowd. Like, I remember the smells. I remember where I was sitting. And it's like, wow, these things in our heads are powerful.
Yeah.
And we need to really respect them,
Yeah. I just want to offer a caveat to this because, obviously I'm passionate about it. You can probably hear it in my voice. And I believe in the science is very persuasive. and I'm excited for this paradigm shift. But not every treatment is for everybody, and I really want to sort of pass this message along with also an equal message that, you know, I don't think people should just go out and start experimenting with these compounds now. I don't think people should just start taking psilocybin to help with their depression. I think these are, you know, serious medicines, and they require serious respect, sacredness. And what I would encourage people to do is, there's an organisation called Mind Medicine Australia, which is a charity which is leading the way in getting these helpful compounds and medicines rescheduled so they can be used in Australia. So they're at the forefront of pushing this clinical agenda backed by research. And you can contact them just by Googling My Medicine Australia, and they've got a clinical team, a psychological support team. And if anyone's thinking about using any of these compounds and they want support in that, they want advice, they want, you know, harm minimization kind of approach from, you know, GPs and psychologists, that they kind of reach out and get some proper support. These aren't things to be kind of experimented with in a way. We really want to use them properly. And
well, can we just emphasize the point you made earlier, that they are potentially assisted therapies?
Very much so. They're an adjunct to a really thoughtful therapeutic process.
And they're a small piece of a big jigsaw puzzle.
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. They're not the solution alone.
That's absolutely correct.
Is that the message you want to put out there?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that is crucial to put that out there. Yeah. You made that point numerous times. So
yeah, and some people, they're not positive for anyway. You know, they don't have the right brain chemistry to benefit from them. So,
but I mean, it is exciting to hear some progress. You know, like a shift in the paradigm. Like, I mean, that's exciting. I mean, if we don't have these shifts in paradigm, like, if nothing changes, right?
Yeah.
So it's good to see that, you know, there's people striving for change.
Yeah.
You know, in all aspects, and especially one that is definitely a predominant issue in our society and many other societies. So,
and people respect science. You know, if the science keeps telling us the same story, that these compounds have benefits used in the right way, then we have to follow that science. I think, you know, it's compassionate as well.
People respect science. They do. Do they respect spirituality as much as science?
Well, here's the thing. What they've found in the psilocybin research so far is the biggest predictor of effectiveness is when someone has a mystical experience that goes along with that journey.
Right.
And so here's where spirituality is coming into science. And so a mystical experience is the kind of experience where, you know, you come into deep connection with a sense of oneness. You feel like you've had an experience that feels even more real than everyday waking life. You might connect with a sense of, you know, unity, awe, expansiveness. People can have experiences that feel like they come into contact with other sort of, you know, intelligent, autonomous beings. And there's a deep sense of spirituality that happens for people in these journeys, and it's very predictive of not just the effectiveness of the treatment, but also the length of how long this lasts. And so what we're doing with these things is we're sort of occasioning a mystical experience in people. So here's where science and spirituality come together. We're creating a set and setting, a container where we can create a high possibility of a mystical experience, which creates a high possibility of healing of mental health disorder. Now, that's magic, right?
It is magic, dude.
That's science and magic together.
Dude, it's science and magic together. Wow. There'd be purists out there, and I'm going to say this, religious purists.
Yep.
That would say, look, this is what we've been saying all along.
For sure. And they're probably right.
Yeah. And there'll be a lot of purists also saying, well, you can achieve a spiritual experience and enlightenment without any assistance. And you can do it through your breath work as well.
Yes, and that can be true.
Yeah.
So what I would say to the purists is that to have those experiences without these medicines requires so much dedication and years of training and just the right focus, not everybody has that capability, that willingness, or that ability. And so here's a way to do it with a little bit of help. And some people need that help.
Dude. So
I'm not against the purists. I really think they've got a lot to, they've actually got a valid argument there. Dude,
it's so good. Like, wow, dude, it's been epic. It's been an hour and almost an hour and a half.
Really?
And that last half an hour, things really escalated in a good way.
Yeah.
Like, and I can see your conviction. I can see your passion, and this is what's needed for change.
Yeah.
And you must be feeling it, because I mean, I've always seen you as someone who's very dedicated to what they do and passionate, and hence the success of your practice, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I
when I say success, I mean people are drawn to your practice, not just you, but the other therapists that work here, correct?
Yeah, we all love what we do as far as being very interested in it and passionate about it, and we want to do this work. So I think people do get drawn to that. Yeah,
yeah, they want authenticity,
Yeah.
Wow, man.
Yeah.
Dude, I almost feel like it's a good way to end. I'm like,
did we ramble? I felt like I was just rambling the whole time.
Rambling's good. I don't think you rambled at all.
Oh, really? Okay.
Dude, like honestly, it's been amazing. I mean, I actually didn't really expect it to go off. And we sort of started strong, actually, got intense. I usually I wanted to find out about where you grew up and all these other things.
Yeah, we didn't talk much about me.
Well, where did you grow up? No, let's go quick. We'll break it down real quick. Because, I mean, we just sort of, I don't know what happened.
What about me?
Dude, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah.
How are you feeling today?
Yeah.
I feel
we covered that part already.
I'm going to do a little psych session on you.
Yeah.
Top 5 questions. Here we go.
Okay.
Favorite band of all time?
Oh, well, that's a hard one.
Come on, pick one. Commit. Don't sit on the fence now.
Oh, God. Oh, that's too big a first question.
Okay.
Let me come back.
I'll start again. Where'd you grow up?
Austinmere.
Austinmere. Okay. So that's the New South Wales southeast coast of Australia, south of Sydney, for those that are not in Australia.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you know what's, I heard Brett talking about his childhood in Bellambi.
Yep.
And how he had to put up with violence every day.
Yeah.
And in Austinmere, we didn't have to do any violence.
Didn't you?
And it's only like 7 kilometres apart as the crow flies. Like, it's just crazy the luck that goes into where you're born and where you grow up. And
like you can win the lottery, right?
I know.
It's like a friend of mine. He's an amazing surfer, Nathan Vickery. Actually, he was just on here, and he grew up right on the beach at Port Campbell. Like he won that lottery in a way.
Yeah.
And I grew up in like inland from the beach, and I often think, well, why didn't I win that lottery?
Yeah. Yeah. I know.
Well, what's the significance there, though? Like, are you just sort of highlighting the fact that?
Well, I just, if I had have grown up in the conditions that he grew up in, because I was listening to the podcast when he was talking, I'd be crushed. Like, I don't think, because I'm a sensitive person, I just was born like that. I think I would be in a hell of a mess now. I'd be really crushed by that experience. I'd have really bad post-traumatic stress. And, I just really, it's just, there's so much luck that goes into life. And, it's just, I just feel a lot of gratitude for the things that are going well and what I didn't have to endure sometimes. So.
Is it luck or is it your journey? And this is your journey.
Yeah, I've got no idea, man. It's a total mystery.
Sorry, that's getting way too philosophical. It's been,
No, but
it's a big day.
Anyway, what's the next question?
Okay, my next question to you is, oh God, I've lost it now. So grew up in Austinmere. Favorite subject at school? I'm going to get some really like vanilla questions here. Favorite subject at school?
Jesus, this is vanilla.
We've gone deep. Let's get plain.
Oh God, I like pure mathematics.
Nerd. Next question. Favorite genre of music?
The most satisfying thing for my system, my neurobiological system, is a perfect combination of death metal and thrash metal.
You're the most random dude I've ever met. I swear to God, you're like highly intelligent psychologist, but who likes thrash metal, skateboarding, and kickboxing.
Yeah.
Now,
yeah.
And you got a growth mind. Okay, I love it. What advice would you give to someone who's just graduated from university with a psych degree, about to enter the profession?
I'd say leave university and go and do heaps of good stuff and come back later and finish it.
Accumulate some life experience.
Absolutely, yeah. I'd say to anyone in their 20s, just go and do as much things as you can, because soon you're going to have kids and bills and you're not going to be able to go anywhere. So just do as many things as you can. Doesn't matter what you do, just do as much as you can.
Nice, dude. Yeah. Nice. Okay, I got one more question. And that question to you is, I ask all guests to come to the podcast with a cause they want to advocate for. Now, you've already brought one up, and that was the Mind Medicine?
Mind Medicine Australia. So they're a charity, and you can Google them and find them, and you can give money if you like. There's also a Wollongong chapter where we're just starting to meet so that we can sort of raise awareness and education of some of these things. So there's on Facebook, if you do that thing, there's a Mind Medicine Australia Facebook page and a Mind Medicine Australia Wollongong chapter Facebook page, and we want people to contribute to that. Not mental health professionals, just people of all stripes and ilks, and
like participate in the discussion.
Yeah, so we're going to do some events where we're trying to raise awareness and raise education, and just let people know that these medicines have arrived on the scene in the world and in Australia, and be really responsible about that. We're advocating through Mind Medicine Australia for clinically controlled environments, using medicines in the context of a therapeutic relationship. These are we're not advocating for psychedelics per se, but we're advocating for the use of them in mental health.
So you're looking for legislative reform?
Absolutely. So we've already put in, Mind Medicine Australia and I contributed, and a bunch of people did, to the Therapeutic Goods Administration a couple of weeks ago, to change psilocybin and MDMA from a Schedule 9 to a Schedule 8 substance, which makes them accessible for psychiatrists to prescribe, and so then they can be used in a clinical setting. So that's happening, and we'll get the results of that in April. And if that changes, then we're ready to go on the mental health kind of front in Australia to start using these really, really thoughtfully.
Wow.
So we're closer than most people think.
Like being open about your stance on this, are you fearful of it being polarizing to you professionally?
Yeah.
Or has it polarized you in any way?
It hasn't. I haven't spoken openly about it until now, really. I mean, I've spoken to bits and pieces to different people, but I haven't sort of advertised it. So one part of me feels very protective of this, and that I don't want to overstate the potential benefits, and I don't want people to, start being cowboys with it and things. I want it to go well. I want us to be patient and thoughtful and step through it bit by bit. And there's another part of me that's terrified, that thinks that, I'm going to be judged for this, and then I'm some sort of, kind of wacky.
What about by your peers? Are you fearful of?
Not by my peers.
What about other practitioners in? Not
so much, no. No, okay. Not because people within the mental health field know about the research.
Okay.
They know about it and they know the results, and that they know the science.
So it's not that shocking
not shocking to people within the mental health field, no.
Okay.
I guess what I'm worried about is, I don't know, maybe I'm not worried about anything. I'm not sure.
You're not. I can tell you're not.
I'm not sure. I mean, I just want people to be well, and this offers people, who are struggling some relief.
So good, bro. So good. So listen, I'll put a link to Mind Medicine links,
Australia,
and all the links, the Facebook links, the Wollongong links. And so you can actually participate in the discussion or actually donate to the charity as well.
That's right, yeah.
And advocate for reform, advocate for change. Like, here's an opportunity to participate in something that's potentially healing to many, many people. And you can find that in Mark's show notes via the terriblehappytalks.com website. There's also links to all the other platforms that you can find this podcast on, such as iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Spotify, Buzzsprout, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, and TuneIn Radio. So you can find the platform that works best for your device. And also, if you visit the terriblehabittalks.com website, you can buy THT a coffee and support me in producing weekly episodes. And also, you will get an invite to the THT Zoom forum that's happening on the 9th of November, and you can be there. I'll be in there, and you can meet some past guests for a Q&A, and we might get a discussion going. I might have to get you in, Mark. You got time?
Yeah, absolutely.
Your busy schedule. I might try and see if we can work around you. Yeah. And now listen, bro, I've got some presents for you. The first one's not here, but it will be posted to you. I spoke to founder of Indosol today, Kai Paul. He's still in Bali, and that's where Indosol Footwear was started. And you'll be receiving a pair of Indosols footwear just in time for summer.
Nice.
So I have
What's
to
that,
get
like thongs or slips?
They're slides or flip-flops.
Nice.
So it's a bit of a lucky dip what they send you, but they're made from repurposed motor vehicle tyres, and they're really comfy.
Beautiful.
So I'm just so stoked on those guys, like, you know, Kai and Chris Pappas and Kyle Parsons. They've sort of supported the podcast from the very start, and they just believed in it. And so we're talking about today, and we really believe it's all about long-term relationships, you know, and advocating for the right messages. It's not about trying to make money, or we all have to survive, but it's more about this advocating and collaborating and showing a united front in what we believe in. So there's a bit of a sponsorship rant, but I do believe in it because I was very particular about who I wanted to be affiliated with, and I could not be more grateful. So those dudes, they're going to send you a pair of shoes, and the other one you get the THT Alumni Circle logo sticker. I only give them to people that have been on the show, so you're now THT Alumni. There's only now 78 of these.
Yes.
So there you go, brother.
Special club.
Stick it wisely. It's just a sticker.
It's a great looking sticker.
I actually upgraded my stickers. Those ones won't fade outdoors. I paid for the good ink.
Nice.
Get ready, dudes.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Mate, thank you.
This time went quick, huh?
Yeah, it went quick, dude. Like, you said you were nervous at the start, man. You didn't seem nervous. I've never seen that aspect of you.
I know
you that
I hide it well. I'm not sure why or how, but people don't know that about me. I'm an incredibly socially anxious person.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. See, we should never judge what's on the outside.
That's right. You don't know what people are going through.
But I'm not judging. I never judge.
That's right.
Except I need to go to the bathroom. Let's get out of here.